I just wanted to make sure that you listeners are listening to the Drapedomaniac podcast on doayamedia.com. You are, right?
Peace, family, and welcome to this edition of the Drapedomaniac podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is the head Drapedomaniac in charge, and I'm here with my beautiful wife, Angela.
Hello!
And we're here to have conversations on how to get off this plantation.
All of the plantations.
All the
This
plantations.
one and any one if you find yourself on one, how you feel.
Exactly. Well, today is going to be kind of a potpourri of subjects, or just discussions about things that are going on right now. We watched the King Kong versus Godzilla movie. We had some thoughts about that, and in terms of our people, and just what overall they say. And we watched a little bit of the Chauvin, I don't know how to pronounce the guy's name, trial, who murdered George Floyd. And we tend not to even really look at that, but we did watch some of it yesterday, and this is disgusting, as we pretty much figured it would be. In every country does propaganda, and Angela has been having some really good discussions that have made me think, thought-provoking, about how the propaganda works and how subtle it is, and how even if we recognize there's propaganda, they still have so many ways to just slip it in under the radar, so you may not even know that you're being propagandized while you're watching it.
That's the whole point of propaganda. You're not supposed to know you're being propagandized, are you?
True, but there's the kind that's a little more overt, and then there's the kind that's covert, where there's some propaganda that I've seen, especially like World War II propaganda, that it's obvious that it's propaganda. It's only presenting one side, and it's totally slanted the way that they want you to think, and it's just very overt. But then there's bless you, and then there's the covert stuff. Like we were discussing about the way the things they do in movies and TV shows and so on. So I've spoken long enough. I'm letting Angela have the floor for a minute.
Okay. Well, I mean, just to start off, I don't. If I have ever seen a Godzilla or a King Kong movie, I sure don't remember. I asked my mom about it. I said, "Have you ever watched any Godzilla or King Kong?" She said no, and then she said, "Oh, I do remember the white woman and the, so I must have seen something." But I don't know if I've ever seen that. I have seen allusions to that. So, I guess my first impression of the movie is that it felt very like the Hollywood formula. And there's something very comforting about the Hollywood formula. It's sort of like you know what to expect.
Right. Like and real quick, there may be some spoilers in this if you don't want to be spoiled. So I figure I better say that, because in a way there's no way to talk about without giving some spoilers.
So this isn't a spoiler. It's just like a romantic, like if you read a romance novel, it's a recipe. You know the people gonna meet, then they gonna fall in love, then they gonna break up, then they gonna end up in love. Generally and there's something comforting about the formula. I don't exactly know what the Hollywood formula is, but I felt like even without knowing anything about King Kong, Godzilla, it just felt very familiar to me. It felt like a standardized Hollywood movie to me. Like I more or less, like it felt comforting because that's what I've grown up watching. Mm-hmm. So, I could enjoy it on some level just for pure Hollywood entertainment value. Even though it's not necessarily, it's not my cup of tea. It's like I don't really care for fighting and, all of that stuff is just, it's hard for me to even focus on that. But the whole movie, I was disturbed I felt a lot of empathy for King Kong. Like I was just kind of like I just felt, and even at the end when it was supposed to be like, oh, it's wonderful, and I'm like, well, where's his family? I thought he was going there to find his family. Like I just felt, and I felt like when he heard his family might be there, he seemed to like really get like moving, like
right.
he want. And then there was like one point when he was like supposed to be sitting. To me, it read like throne, like he was sitting on the throne. But I'm like, well, what kind of damn kingdom is this? It ain't no people. It's just him. It ain't no, where's his peeps? Where's his family, his community, the, king of what?
Well, there were other animals around, but there weren't any like him.
Yeah, but when he was sitting on that throne, it was just like him and the light. Like,
yeah, there were some like birds and stuff flying around.
I missed them.
But even still, there weren't any like him. So
right, and I kind of feel like, as like a lot of times when I watch, like when we watch Behind Her Eyes, I felt like the way there was a black woman was in the lead, a black woman acted in the lead, but I felt sad for her, the characterization of this woman, because I'm like, she was like the only black person, like where her family, where her sisters, her friend, one of her friends was cool, but I'm like, she ain't got no sister friends. I mean, she ain't got no black. What kind of life is she living?
Right, she had no connection to blackness whatsoever. She may as well have been white.
Right, and I feel like it was basically colorblind casting, because there was nothing about, there were some things about like she wrapped her hair or whatever that, but there was nothing in the line or nothing in her character that indicated that she was black. And then there was one line, and this is where we kind of started the conversation in the movie. A few days ago, I said, it kind of disturbed me and bothered me or a couple days ago, when, they ran into trouble and the woman was like, well, throw King Kong off. I just kind of felt like, well, dag. I mean, I felt a way about it.
Right.
But the whole movie, I just really felt a great deal of empathy for him. And I just want to say, one more thing, sorry, and I'll let you talk, because I think that might be all I have to say about it. But like when I go, like I remember getting ready to go to a rodeo. When I lived in Mississippi, there was like a black rodeo that was coming to town. I'm like, I'm going to a rodeo. And I had my little slides, and they looked like cowboy boots, but they were slides. And I went and got me a pink plaid shirt, and my jeans, and my leather belt. And I like got a cute little hat. And I was like so excited about going to the rodeo. And then when I got there, I just did not enjoy it all. I'm not a person who likes zoos. I don't like to see nothing locked up.
Right.
I might over relate myself to animals, but I feel like I don't want to be locked up. I don't want to see nothing locked up.
Right.
When I was in the road watching the rodeo, I'm like watching how they were dogging out the cows and the animals. I'm like, this is not fun at all to me.
Right.
But anyway, so that's how I felt watching the movie. Like, I just couldn't. Like, it was just some aspect of it where I just felt like so bad for King Kong that I was just like, this is not fun at all.
Well, I stopped going to zoos a long time ago because I realized that I don't like seeing any sentient creature caged up. I wouldn't want to be caged up. Mm-hmm. If you see a leopard in a zoo, now they say that if a leopard gets into like the open plain, and they can just run full out, they can get up to 75 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. There's cars I won't drive 75 miles per hour. A cheetah in an open range can get up to 75 miles per hour. Mm-hmm. But it has to be in an open range and able to run in a straight line. Mm-hmm. And I don't care how big of an enclosure you give them.
It's not.
There's not going to be enough room to get up to 75 miles per hour.
It's not natural.
That particular animal will never be able to reach its potential.
Right. And just be free to be how they are.
And be free to be how they are. Now there are some who argue that some animals that are in the zoo are there to help repopulate and to help them. I think that may be the case, but I don't think that that's the case for most. And I don't feel that any animal.
I feel like if they're fixing something, it's something that they done jacked up.
Well, that's true enough. I was about to say that also, but at the same time, like I said, even if it's there as a preserve, maybe, and this is a big maybe, you could just have animals there if you're trying to get funds, you can have animals there that are strictly, for that. But I don't believe that that's the case in most cases. Plus, there's just the whole thing. I feel like I don't feel like, well, this elephant needs to be caged up so that I can go see it once every 3 years if I feel like it. I just wanted to be there so that I can go look at it once every 3 years if the mood hits me. That's just my feeling about zoos. But as far as the Kong movie goes,
well, hold on. I just want to say something about animals because I feel like I don't want to see that in a zoo. I don't want to see crabs in a barrel. I don't want to see anybody dogging their dog out.
Right.
I feel like, and they say that when animals are like in zoos, they behave unnaturally, which I feel like it makes sense. It's not natural. Why should they behave naturally? But anyway, that's all.
Right. Yeah. I don't believe in zoos. I don't go to them. Anyway,
I believe we should
Kong,
leave them, let things be.
Yeah. Well, we're in agreement. I'm just saying that as far as the Kong movie goes, I'm struck by, the fact that, in one scene, the woman says Kong bows to no one, and then it's either 1 or 2 scenes later, he's on a ship in chains.
Mm-hmm.
In chains.
Mm-hmm.
And it's significant to me that, number one, he's on a ship, and he is chained up.
Mm.
And then the only reason that they let him loose is to save their own lives. But even before that, the first thing mentioned was throwing his ass overboard to drown.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you gonna bring him all the way out here to kill him, you could have just left him where he was.
And where he was,
was phony.
Was some bull. Like they had put him in some fake situation, some simulation of freedom, which wasn't freedom, and he knew it. He was like throwing arrows or whatever, throwing stuff at the roof.
So the whole thing was messed up. But even beyond that, from the beginning of that movie to the end of that movie, nothing was done for Kong's sake or on Kong's behalf. Everything that pertained to Kong was how Kong was going to be used to protect us.
Mm.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And Kong's job isn't to protect us. Kong's job is to be Kong.
Mm-hmm. And I feel like if you leave them alone, you don't have to do nothing on their behalf. I feel like it's like, this whole African continental thing, like, oh, the people are so poor, so we're going to do charity on their behalf. Where, meanwhile, you're doing charity, giving them $500, and you're taking out $5,000. Leave $5 billion and give them $500. And, we have to help the poor, starving children. It's
you're the reason they're poor and starving.
Exactly.
So, they create the problem, cause the problem, and then throw a little bit to the side, acting like they're doing it's just this big mess.
That's like enriched white rice to me and white bread.
Right.
You have rice that's perfectly good and wholesome and nutritious, and then you strip away all of the nutrients, and then you add back something that's not as high value as what you started with. If you just leave stuff alone, you have a better, I know that's ridiculous to be like, oh, just leave stuff alone. That's just like saying, just go get some self-esteem. It's easier said than done because I don't think that they can just leave stuff alone.
Well, I don't think it's their nature.
Right.
But there's also the discussion. We had listened to African Esquire earlier, and she was discussing. Who was it that was leaving?
The president, the leader of Nigeria. His name sounded Senegalese to me. It's like Amadou. Maybe it's Arabic, but I think it's like Amadou somebody. I don't know. Whoever the current leader of Nigeria is going to Europe, Britain, London in order to get some health care for a routine medical checkup.
Right.
And meanwhile, in the country that he is leader of, the doctors are going on strike or about to go on strike.
Right, and that's why he left.
Okay.
See, he pulled a Ted Cruz.
I thought he was just because a lot of these people who run African countries, they get all their treatment in Europe anyway. When they get sick, they go to
True.
Europe. So I thought that was just like his normal thing.
True.
But meanwhile, the doctor's like, I feel like somebody ought to punch you in your throat, smack you in your head. The nerve of you to, you're leading a country, and I'm saying leading like facetiously. How can you be leading a country and not partaking of the experience of the people of your country?
Right.
So the healthcare is good enough for them, but not good enough for you. Or the healthcare is so skitty that you're getting healthcare elsewhere. Then you need to be on, like, that needs to be a top priority of the work that you're doing in your leadership capacity.
Right.
Yeah.
That is exactly the model for the United States. It might be the model worldwide, but you have the people who make the laws in the United States. You have the people who make the laws and the rules, force you to be part of the Social Security system, force you to be part of this healthcare system. In the meantime, they have their own completely separate retirement system, their own completely separate healthcare system, and so on. And because they know that this system is jacked up and it doesn't work. Mm-hmm. And so they have their own systems. And this is just a fact. They have their own systems that are not part of what we have. There's almost like a firewall between them. Mm-hmm. But they're going to force everybody else to be part of these systems. Mm-hmm. And as I had mentioned Hillary Clinton earlier, when we were talking before we started recording, she's doing all this talking about, public schools, public school this, public school that. Your children need to be in public school, and her daughter's in private school.
And when I worked in...
there was no way in the F that she was going to put her child in a public school.
When I worked in public schools, I don't know much about her, but I know when I worked in public schools, there were the principals, a lot of times their children were in private schools. Right. And I'm like, that is some piss poor fucking leadership to me.
Right.
You need to go work in a private school.
Exactly. And that's the whole hypocrisy of all of it. Of all of it. Like Dr. Thomas told me, the way to get people under your thumb and keep people under your thumb is to force them to live by rules and regulations that you don't have to follow yourself. Mm-hmm. And that's how you do it. That's all I see in this country. But Tierney put up, she was also making the argument or having the discussion about the fact that part of what makes it so that it's the public allows that to happen is basically the big I and little U syndrome, where there are people who either the public feels or they feel themselves that they are just far too important to get sick, to not be protected, to die or whatever. I'm so much more important than you. And that goes back to the whole propaganda thing, where you grow up, at least in the United States, you grow up your whole life watching these movies about someone has kidnapped the princess, or we must save the president. And
you always say that the same way when you say it. We must save the president.
That's because that's from Eddie Murphy.
Oh!
That's from something Eddie Murphy said. He said, we must save the president. And so that's why I say it like that every single time. It was from an Eddie Murphy stand-up routine. And so that's where that comes from. Whenever I say it like that, that's where it is. But anyway, it's this, you have to say the president, the prime minister, the whoever. And then you have literally thousands of people dying to try to save this one person, because their life is so much more important than all these people who are dying, who also have husbands, wives, daughters, sons, brothers, sisters, but their lives are just nothing. But they will gladly lay them down for this person who is so important. The princess who, for all intents and purposes, has no power whatsoever and isn't really anything except the daughter of the king and queen, and that's it. But yet all these lies need to be laid down so that we can rescue her and all the. And that's like this subtle propaganda, You know, that we're brought up with to believe that there are people whose lives are more valuable than other people's lives, and that is just patently not true.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That is not true.
And I know my mom used to work in workers' compensation, and there's like literally when you look at like a black man loses his finger in the plant and a white man loses their finger in the plant or whatever, the way they use these, I believe, if I remember correctly or understood correctly, they use these like insurance actuary reports to determine how much compensation people get. And basically what it boils down to is that black people get less because Black people would have earned less over the course of their lifetime. Mm-hmm. So your finger is literally worth less than, the white boy's finger over there.
Right.
And I feel like that's like a, that's like a whole, that's a theme in this country. I mean, that's like a rich white men with property and power can do whatever they want. Their ideas are worth more. Their lives are worth more. Mm-hmm. Their feelings are worth more.
Their ice is colder.
Right. Well, I think that's a different phenomenon. Well, when their ice is colder, it's like thinking they're smarter and better. But we have to, like I was listening. Sometimes when I listen to, I can't remember who I was listening to, but it's like we're like, oh no, I mean, I'm not saying that all white people are racist. There are some very nice white people out there. It's like we have to go through this whole like preamble of, in order to tiptoe around and not say anything that might offend. And it's like
where they have to say about us, they just say it full throated.
Right.
And as far as white, we've discussed this before, but as far as white lives and black lives, what I'm about to say tells you everything you need to know. The average, I mean, there are more or less, but the average of what black people get in wrongful death suits that involve the police, right, in settlements, they average about $3 million. All right. Mm-hmm. This is black people. And these are unarmed, whatever. This white woman from Australia gets gunned down by this black cop, and her family is immediately, when I say immediately, I mean relatively speaking, in terms of how long it takes black people to get dragged just, to get 2 million or whatever, 3 million, 6 million. She almost immediately gets $20 million, and the cop goes to jail with the quickness and is still in there. Mm-hmm. And she's not even American. Mm-hmm. She's not even American. Mm-hmm. And they got a $20 million settlement. Now, I know how you feel about settlements. I'm just saying it for the sake of this discussion, where it's like our lives are just seen as worth so much less. Mm-hmm. We're watching this, and watching the people talking about George Floyd. Of course, it's one of the strategies of the prosecution. They're putting him on trial. Like he's laying someplace underground. Mm-hmm. He can't speak for himself. He can't defend himself. He can't. And when they showed the clips of the way that he was murdered, it was just horrifying. But I would submit that our people literally go through this every day, mm-hmm. and there's no camera running. Mm-hmm. So, anyway.
I don't know if did you say everything you had to say about King Kong versus
No, if you have something more to say, it's a potpourri.
I said, did you say everything that you had to say?
Yeah.
Okay. Because it seemed like when we talked about it, there was like more stuff we were talking about in terms of, but I can't really remember.
Well, just the fact that he was protecting. Now, Godzilla was, both problems, the Godzilla problem, both problems were man-made, mm-hmm. because Godzilla, at least in the original incarnation, was created through nuclear testing, mm-hmm. and radiation. Mm-hmm. And so that's one problem man created. Mm-hmm. And then the second problem was Mechagodzilla, which man created. Mm-hmm. And they got to send Kong out, mm-hmm. who none of them created, mm-hmm. to clean up their mess or to
Mhm.
fix their mess.
Mhm.
And
And one of the things we were saying about that is that I feel like a lot of times that's the job of black people. I maybe I feel
Right.
like to clean up the mess that white people have created, or
right,
to exist in service to whiteness and white people, and to make their lives better, and to
right.
yeah.
Look at the photos or the videos after the Capitol got the siege on the Capitol. It was black people cleaning up.
Mm-hmm.
But all you saw was white faces breaking in,
making the mess,
making
right.
the mess.
Mm-hmm.
But it was black people cleaning it up as usual.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's always been that thing of we clean up the mess. They make a mess. We're cleaning it up. Plus, we get zero of any benefits that may come out of anything.
Mm-hmm.
All we get to do is clean up.
Mm-hmm.
And it's by design, of course.
Yeah, and then you had also said that, they dragged King Kong out of, wherever he was in order to fight, to clean up the mess that they made. And then he got basically killed. He was,
right.
Got beat within an inch of his life and was about to die. And they brought him back to life
right.
just so that he could be,
right, so he could keep fighting for them.
Right. And then we were also
if they didn't need him to fight, they'd have let his ass die.
Right, they'd have let him die.
So anyway,
they can let him die, but they can't let him live. And then we were also talking about this concept of like the alphas, like this false narrative, even in their own movie, that these two alphas, if they get together, they're gonna fight, and like all of this other stuff. And it's kind of like, are they, and why would they? And then
right.
at some point you said, now I missed that, but you were saying that they actually didn't end up.
At the end of the movie, everything that the whole premise of the movie was pretty much negated at the very end of the movie, because Godzilla and King Kong were facing each other, and they just went their separate ways.
Mm-hmm.
So it could be argued that it was because Godzilla beat Kong,
mm-hmm.
but I think personally that it's kind of a way to set up a rematch.
Mm-hmm.
That's as far as movie making and money goes,
mm-hmm.
Just to set up a rematch where they're like, we'll call a truce for right now.
Mm-hmm.
But it still like kills the argument that they literally just cannot exist on the same planet
mm-hmm.
in peace. Well, what are you talking about? They just went their separate ways.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And if anything, they came together to destroy this man-made issue.
Mm-hmm.
So it was man that was putting each other, putting them at each other's throats.
Mm-hmm.
After they tore up Mechagodzilla, they should have been facing each other. They should have looked at all these human beings
mm-hmm.
and said, "Yeah, why are we fighting each other?
Mm-hmm.
You're the problem." But anyway, that's that.
Yeah. All right. So anything, we never talked about Billie Holiday versus the USA versus Billie Holiday.
Yeah, that was a hot mess. Now I mean a hot mess of a movie. I mean the situation was a hot mess. Now I think I said in the last podcast, when I watch I may or may not, but when I watch a quote unquote docudrama or something out of Hollywood that's pertaining to our people, I look at it the same way that I look at the freaking Avengers and the freaking Muppet movie. Just some made up crap. They may have enough truth in it to say that that's what it's about, but it still has their stink on it.
Mm-hmm.
So I watch it and take it with a grain of salt. That said, as far as the premise of the movie goes, I'm like, we watched that movie and we watched the one with Queen Latifah.
With Queen Latifah?
Yeah, and she wasn't.
She was playing a blues singer too.
Right.
Before that, we watched Messiah, Black Judas and the Messiah, or
right.
something.
Right, but the one with the United States versus Billie Holiday, the premise was they was having a problem with her singing "Strange Fruit." That's what they were using. well, we're giving you all this hell because you keep singing Strange Fruit, and it may cause a
Bessie. That movie was called Bessie. It came out in 2015.
Okay.
With Queen Latifah.
Right.
Not. Okay. Sorry.
But the point I'm making though is that they were giving her in Billie Holiday movie, they were giving her all this grief because you're singing this song a bit. Well, in Bessie, she's in a tent, under a tent, and they're just singing the blues and having a good time. And here they come.
Trying to tear the tent down, burn
them, trying to burn them out. And
why?
So on.
They ain't even messing with you. Ain't thinking about you. They just
exactly. Yeah, that's my point. Is that whatever they say is just a BS. It's just some kind of BS excuse for doing their dirt. At the end of Rosewood, if you remember, and again, you take all this with a grain of salt. But at the end of Rosewood, or even when it comes
I don't
to
think I ever saw Rosewood.
Rosewood is where this town got burned down because this white woman said that a black man raped her.
Yeah, I don't think I saw it.
And so you had the about Black Wall Street, where they said that this black man assaulted a white woman or whatever. And I guess my point is, I know that they don't need a reason. I preface it by saying that I know they don't need a reason.
Because you know I'm gonna say that.
Right. But that's the reasons that they use. Well, we did this because this happened to this person. And then at the end of the movie, at the end of both movies, they basically say, yeah, we knew that she was just a slut and she was just sleeping with different men and they were white men. We knew that from the beginning. We just used that as an excuse to go burn your freaking town down. Mm-hmm. And so I said all that to say that in those two movies, it didn't matter what you're singing. It doesn't matter what you're doing. Mm-hmm. Here they come. Mm-hmm. Here they come. Mm-hmm. I mentioned how I'll watch. I'll be on like these white live streams, and I collect videos, so I'll be watching them and sometimes participate because all they're talking about is movies or whatnot, and nobody comes bothering them. And I even go on some political ones, and I don't mean like white supremacist ones, which I mean it could be argued that all of them are, but they're not like overtly like just white supremacists. They're just talking about politics, and they'll be on for a couple hours, and I will not see one troll, not one. I have literally been on black podcasts where they're just talking about cooking or something, and here they live streams, and here they come, and they're talking about cooking. They're not talking about politics, not talking about religion, not talking about white folks, not talking about black folks. They're just talking about cooking or healthy living or something in a live stream. And here comes some freaking emojis of monkeys and bananas and all this, or some kind of troll, and it's usually within the first 15 minutes to 20 minutes or whatever. And so I'm like, these people literally cannot leave us alone. They can't leave us alone. Any excuse is good enough, or no excuse at all. But that is why I'm like, that's why we need to separate. That's why we need to get away from, as best we can and as much as we can, as humanly possible, get away from them. Just get away from them. And yeah, they're going to follow, but you just get away from them as best you can.
In terms of one thing that I took, one takeaway from me with the Billie Holiday movie is I feel like before that movie, I had thought of her as I thought she was a good singer and somebody who had bad issues with drugs. I thought that the film did a really good job. I thought the actor was really good, the main actress.
Yeah, that was her first really acting gig too. So that was she knocked it out of the park.
And I saw an interview with her, and she was, Oprah Winfrey was like, was she on drugs? And I could understand why she was asking that, because there were a couple of scenes where I was kind of like, wow, that felt like really real, Like I believed her, I bought her, but she studied hard for it. She was working her butt off. But so aside from the acting, I just really it sort of highlighted to me the fact that a lot of times our stories, our people, the way that they're remembered, or the way that I remember them, is based on some propaganda from some other people that has nothing to do with who they are. And not that I think that she was like, and so I just feel like I left with a new level of, I don't know if respect is really the word, but just like awareness about the fullness of who she was as a person.
Right.
And I don't necessarily think, that movie captured, was like some real representation of her. But it was just a reminder to me that we're like whole people. And that even though I don't think she was some, quote unquote, like freedom fighter, like I think she was a singer, but I think that she was also a Black woman singer. And, she and she was connected to Black people and felt a way about, our experience and, and injustice, and wanted to express it. What you laughing at?
If there was an award, if there was an award for a portrayal of the best drug addict in a movie, Chris Rock in New Jack City playing a crackhead, they should have came down on the set and gave him an Academy Award before they was even finished filming the movie. I mean, Chris Rock.
Have you been around a lot of crackheads?
Oh, but I actually have been around a few.
And he, like, I don't know if I think I did see the movie eventually, but I don't remember him. The
park. I was like, man, Chris, if you're not really on crack, then somebody need to give you an award right now, because
So what was he doing that was so?
I mean, it was just the way he looked and the way he was acting. I mean, some of it was over the top, like when he was in the factory and stuff. I think that's a little over the top. But like when he was like by himself, and even before he started trying to get cleaned up, I was like, man, he looked like a crack head.
Yeah.
And this is kind of a side note, but I've known, well, I won't say several, but I knew two people personally who, oh my God, this was so sad. They had like these beautiful homes and stuff, and I worked with them, and they got hooked on crack, right? This was a couple decades ago, and by the time they were done, and this was inside of a year. I had never seen anything like it before or since, but inside of a year, they were literally just sleeping on mattresses, and that was it. They had these like big bedroom suits and all this, and I particularly remember like the TVs that they would have with like these big screen TVs, but they were like the kind that had the projection in front of them, from back in the day. And by the time they were done, they were literally just had mattresses on the, and that was a bad thing. But during that period, the government couldn't build prisons fast enough to throw our people in.
Were those Black people or white people?
One of them was Black, one was white, but still, that whole facade about that, Joe Biden's son is a crackhead. So he, while he's busy throwing our people in prison, he's talking about, well, I'm proud of my son because he beat it, and so and these people need compassion and so on, especially now this meth and this white folks. All these people need compassion. Well, where's the compassion back there? Well, we know what the story is. We know what the deal is. Did your friends get thrown in jail? No. No. Well, one of them did. Now that I think it was a Black one got thrown in jail, and the white one was able to hold on enough that they were still like coming to work. They were like functional. You know how you say there's a functional drunk? They were a functional addict. Right. And the Black one did get thrown in jail. I hadn't even thought about that until you just now asked me that.
I was telling you I had listened to this thing on YouTube. This YouTuber, Kim, I think it's for Harriet is the page. I think the woman's name is Kim. But she interviewed this this researcher, this academic, this professor at Columbia, who, and my mom had mentioned him the other day, and I had heard of him before, but he has used hard drugs, crack, heroin, whatever, recreationally, does research on it, or I don't know recreationally, but does research on, you know, these drugs. And like one of the things that, one of the themes in the interview was interesting is this idea that these stigmatized drugs are generally stigmatized in the context of racial, like hatred of black people. Absolutely. And used as a tool to, you know, denigrate and hurt, you know, black people. And other groups of people who are marginalized. But that, you know, crack or heroin is no worse than tobacco or alcohol.
Right.
And I noticed as I was listening to it how difficult it was for me, even though I consider myself to be relatively progressive in those areas. I don't really use, you know, I use sugar. I guess that's like the main addiction I have, or substance that I use. But I've never been like a drinker or a smoker or, you know, but like I consider myself to be progressive because I feel like, well, shoot, if you want to do whatever, why is that a crime? Like, you know, I feel like it is a crime if I see somebody eating poorly. I'm like, oh, that's a crime, but I don't want to lock you up. I feel empathy for you. I want us to take, you know, good care of our bodies. But I feel like, who am I to say, you know, that drinking is bad, or smoking weed is bad, or doing crack is bad?
Legalizing something, as I had said earlier, legalizing something doesn't make you use it. Alcohol and cigarettes are legal. You and I don't drink or smoke, so we don't drink alcohol or smoke. So
I drink water.
Right. So, you know, just making something legal doesn't make people use it. And, you know, marijuana is considered Schedule 1, but yet marijuana and during the quote unquote crack epidemic. And that's the other thing. Crack was an epidemic. Meth is a crisis.
Public health crisis.
Yeah, public health crisis. Anyway, while these rich white folks were using coke, right, which actually could be considered worse if you want to put a worse on it. You got black people being thrown in prison for crack and for marijuana, and you know it's all weaponized against us. I already told you how I feel in places that it's legalized, and you told me this morning, you know, places where it's been legalized is mostly white folks anyway. But
in countries where it's been legalized, that was one of the points that he was, countries,
because it's always been legal in Amsterdam.
I don't know if it's always been legal in Amsterdam.
It has.
Oh, okay. Well, it is. When I went, it was legal.
Yeah.
Because I remember going to the cafes, and it was just like, oh my goodness. Even when I went to the red light district, I was just like, oh my goodness. Like, people had menus up. I was like, this is just, you know, my
right. That's how it was when I was over there.
My corny ass was just kind of like, oh my goodness. But it was interesting, and yeah, I don't care. I mean, I feel like
right, and in I don't know about the United States, but I do know in Europe, sex workers, they have that's like a whole industry that's not, and it's not this illegal thing they're going to pull you in for. You know, they get tested, they have health care, they have this, they have it's a job. You know, it's a job. But my only point being that where these things aren't legal, it's just because they haven't figured out yet what to put in place of it to make it easy to keep black people as low-hanging fruit. That's just easy to grab us and snatch us up. So.
Yeah, it was something I was going to say, but I got distracted.
Oh, I apologize.
No, I got distracted because I have a video playing in front of me.
Oh,
they're stuffing this cabbage with corn and onions and potatoes and carrots. They put some meat on top, but I'm kind of like, oh, it's you know, I was just got distracted. I was tasting it in my mind. I like baked cabbage. Baked cabbage.
I like baked cabbage.
Sometimes it really tastes good.
I like stuffed cabbage.
But this is a whole cabbage that they stuff.
Oh, so you got
with different vegetables, and they put some meat on top. Anyway, but it was something about it was something about that drug stuff that I was going to say, but I can't even remember now. So I'm sorry.
But it's all everything is pretty much weaponized against our people.
Yeah.
And again, separating from the system, and one of the difficult things about separating is that there's like all the outward, the overt stuff that you do. It's like me wanting to separate from, if I still ate meat, it'd be like me wanting to separate from KFC, right? But I'm still going to Taco Bell. Taco Bell is KFC. You know what I mean? There's always like these little connections that after you get the major connections cut, then there's always these little snippets and these little smaller avenues. That's why I'm not a big fan of boycotts, because you can boycott someplace, but now because of deregulation and so on, every place owns every place else. So you think you're boycotting this company, and you're purchasing something from someplace totally different that seems like it would be unrelated. It could be like a company that creates highly processed foods, and you don't even realize that they also own a like quote unquote natural eco-friendly company, and so on. So you're buying from that, which means that you're actually still supporting that company.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of boycotts as boycotts, but I guess because I'm like part of, like, I feel like when I learn something about like Papa John's, for example, I'd be like, good, that's one less place that I have to worry about, eating at. Like, I feel like I'll have to shop at H&M.
But see, that's the thing. I don't think you should attack Papa John's, and that's because the guy used to be the CEO. He's still learning. He's still learning not to say the M word.
Yes, he spent 18 months on it. He's really dedicated and focused and hard working.
Right. So
God.
It's like a joke when he said that.
Yeah, it was a joke all over Twitter. My people were cracking up about it. But like, I just feel like I don't feel like I'm gonna like withdraw my support from you just to give it to you when you start acting on the surface right. I just feel like, that's just another, like, I feel like if the less places I have to shop, the less money that I'm spending and wasting on stuff that I don't need anyway, ain't important to me anyway, the less money I'm giving to y'all. So I'm like all for it, but not like a boycott, like I'm going to boycott you and then I'm going to start using your system again once you come out and say Black Lives Matter, and then you treating people like shit. Like, I feel like, or,
that makes me think of this though, a message to our beautiful black people who have money and have means. If you go into an upscale store, say like Tiffany's or whatever, and if they're following you around and so on, and then they find out that you have money or whatever, don't spend $5,000 in there just to show that you can afford it. What the F? Anytime I hear of somebody doing that crap, I'm like, what?
In the twisted supporting.
What? I don't even know how to form my mouth to say it. I'm like, I'm gonna, I showed them. I gave them $10,000.
Right. That'll learn you.
Exactly.
They'd be like, yeah, it's gonna learn me all the way to the bank, Negro.
Right.
Negro.
Right. It's a brother. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So anyway,
the Barbara Seville.
Huh?
Negro. That's like the marriage of Figaro. Anyway.
Negro.
Right. That's what they're singing while you're spending money in there with them. I never understood that concept. I'm gonna give you a bunch of money and prove I don't need to prove anything to you. shoot, I'll find somebody black who wants my money and wants me and cares about me.
And then I kind of feel like, in terms of like these, like if I'm dealing with certain types of people, I feel like they're honorable in their behavior anyway, and we're in alignment in our values. When I start dealing with corporations, I'm like, it's nothing that they can do that's in alignment with me. Right. They can donate money to charity, but they're still corporatists, they're still capitalists, they're still exploiters. Right. So there's nothing they can do to be right. Right. So I feel like I don't even like to deal with big companies. Like, it's like I like to deal with people. But I'm just And
it's hard to get away from. And that's that's what I was leading to before, because I'm going to close this up a little bit. Just in terms of separating, it's more than a notion, as we're always saying. But it's because it is. It's not like it's this easy thing. Oh, we'll just separate. No, it's separating from the system as opposed to playing along or going along with the system is the same dynamic as reading a book or watching the movie is based on. Most people would prefer to watch the movie just because it's easier, it's simpler, it's right there. Reading is active. Reading
requires your engagement
requires your engagement in a different type of way, and it requires an effort. That doesn't mean that it's easy. I've come to realize about myself, it's not easy for me to read. And the dichotomy that that happens within myself is, or the duplicity of it is, that I do like to read. But at the same time, I don't. I don't really know how to explain it. But once I'm reading, I'm really enjoying reading. And then, I start these books, and then I'll come in and I can't even get through a whole chapter without coming in here saying something about something I just read that was thought-provoking or whatever. But the point is that for me, even though I like to read, I still have to force myself to do it when I do it. And but it's better for me. It's better. It's more beneficial. Separating isn't easy. It's easier for me to literally walk over to Kroger than to try to search for some place that's not a piece of that's not a scumbag company that fires people because they don't want to give them more money, or closes the whole store down because they don't want to give them more money. Whether it's any of these corporations, it's not
and
just
even if
not
you
just
haven't
Kroger.
heard about it, like that's what I always figure. Shoot, just because I haven't heard about somebody doing some janky stuff, it hadn't gotten public. That don't mean that they're an honorable, good company. Right.
We have watched the videos from black couples who say we're going to buy black for a month, and the theme, the main theme among all of them is it takes work. It's not like this easy thing you can just go out and do. So
that's why they be burning our communities down, to make sure we can't, to make it. They want it to be easy for us to give them our money. Right. So yeah, it's absolutely not easy.
Again with the duplicity, I was I like to run to the Amazon locker and be able to get something on a Sunday or whatever. But I told you, I went to Amazon locker and got my stuff out and was mad that I got it. I was mad at the fact that they make it so easy. It sounds crazy, but that's just the way I felt. I was like, I'm happy I got it, but I'm mad that I got it.
But I haven't shopped at Amazon for a long time, and I guess maybe my personality is probably different. But like, I remember, I think I pulled that list down, but I had a list, like there was some books that I ordered from another company, and it took a while to get here. When you order stuff from that one company, it, like you say, it's so simple, it's so easy. Right. But it wasn't anything that I needed urgently. Right. I think sometimes it's quick, fast. Like I remember realizing when I stopped using microwaves, I remember realizing, shoot, a toaster oven is basically virtually just as fast. A lot of times when you talking about going out because it's more convenient, for me, it's almost just as quick and convenient to cook at home. Like I can cook something at home as quick as I could get it from outside. And a lot of times the stuff that I get from outside, I'll want to skid anyway. It ain't about nothing. But now you done left and came back, and I've been distracted.
No, I apologize. I wanted to really get this book when we're talking about Amazon.
Oh, and that's another thing. A lot of times, there's this black band person who. So I'm like, I really don't like to give money to, I don't care. It's nothing. It's no value that they've added that you think, oh, I need it so fast. I need it in a hurry. I need to use a microwave, and really the difference is not as significant as I have thought it is in a lot of cases. And then
now, that said, when you have control of the distribution channels, there's some things that you want to get hold of, and I got this so I could plug the book, is Tyranny Cherie's book, Fostering False Identity, The Child Welfare System's Design of Social Control of the Black Family. Tyranny Cherie is African Esquire. And then you have Ajali Shabazz's 2 books, Furnace of Affliction and This Black. And they're both available on Amazon. I bought them through Amazon. And so...
and that kind of pisses me off. That's what I was about to say.
Right, that you have to go through those channels to get them.
Support. You want to support, but I don't want to support
them.
I want to, And so it's like there's this one woman. It's a black band life. I think it's Crystal Vanner, and I want to support her, especially because it's kind of like she said she living on her YouTube money and whatever. So it was like I've been looking. I'm like, okay, I wasn't gonna buy a T-shirt. I was just gonna try to give her some money. But then her T-shirts are so cheap. How most people's T-shirts on their channels are like $25. Hers are like $11, and it just made me feel like I really I don't.
Right.
Yeah, I just feel away.
Right.
And I don't want to give money to Teespring because we had that whole conversation about our stuff, but and not that I know anything specifically about.
So you had a problem with them being inexpensive?
No, I don't want to say this out loud because it could be wrong. But when I saw how inexpensive they were, it made me feel, and that doesn't mean that's what's going on with her, that she was desperate. You really price it to move. You price it so the people, because $11, that is really if you go to most people's YouTube channels, a T-shirt is $25.
But it depends. If she has the resources to make them herself,
she's going through Teespring.
You said the price there. Okay.
So her profit margins are really, really cheap.
Right.
That's how
Teespring's getting all the money. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so that's kind of the trap that we're caught in. I'm calling it a trap, a trick box or trick bag.
Whatever.
Yeah, that we're caught in because we want to support our people and do. We do. I purchased the books. We purchased the T-shirts and so on, but there's just this bad taste in our mouth when we do it, not because of our people, but because of who we have to get it through.
I mean, and even the way
Angela definitely. Well, let me say this because Angela definitely goes through a lot of painstaking research, and I mean, she does research trying to find the very best way to purchase something that gets her or gets us around this system. It's all about separating. I apologize. I hope you didn't.
No, I was just gonna say, even most people I imagine do not consume this on Doaya Media. That they consume it on YouTube, and it's always simpler. I shouldn't say it's always, but we get the impression we feel like it's just simpler and easier to go through their systems. And even T.N. and Cherie, African Esquire, were saying she had tried to set up her own website, and it's like then you don't have the resources, you don't have the support system to do that.
Everything.
But then we're vulnerable to them because they just shut us down. They monitor us. They demonetize us. They're always
suppress.
Yeah, so it's sort of like it's just I don't know what the answer is, but I know I have a problem with it. Anyway,
Right.
I'm finished. I know we've been talking forever.
Yeah, well, I enjoy our conversations always. After this podcast is over with, we're gonna
Stop
just
talking.
keep we're not gonna speak anymore for the rest of the week, and then we're gonna
Then
talk.
we'll talk again next week.
we gonna sit at our long dinner table and look at each other and
No,
basically
not-
just tell the butler to pass the salt. She'd be at one end, I'd be at the other. We go to our separate bedrooms.
Right,
and-
we don't look at each other if we're sitting on the other side of the
Nope.
table.
Nope, I'll be reading my newspaper. You'll be reading your book. And and then we come back together. Peace, family. Welcome to another Drake the Maniac podcast.
You silly.
So that's about it. And we genuinely thank you for listening. And you know what? The channel on YouTube, at least, is suppressed, but we are genuinely grateful and for everyone who listens, even if there's only 2 people who listen. We're not only grateful for that, but just always hope that we say something helpful. There are many people who have said things in my life that they may not have even known that they really gave me food for thought
It's like
or
we
pushed
meet
me.
each other. We grow,
Yeah.
we develop from each other, from our interaction, from community.
Yeah, definitely.
And one thing that I was thinking is that, before we go, I just want to say this, that whatever I could say about the distribution networks or whatever, like I literally met my husband through YouTube.
Yeah.
And there are relationships that you have with people outside of this platform that you met through this platform.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I kind of feel like good things are always happening all the time.
Right.
And, you can't, I gotta go to I'm out of here. You can't, it's all good, it's all God. It's all good, it's all God.
All right.
So, we working it out.
And
We
so,
getting free.
and so with that, Angela saying, drink all that water. Thank you for listening to this edition of the Drake the Maniac podcast. This is Ayapo Yapa, the HDIC, that is the head Drake the Maniac in charge, and my beautiful wife, Angela.
Peace out.
Wishing you peace
Be
and
happy.
blessings, sanity, safety, and security through separation. And until next week at the same time,
Be fabulous. Be fabulous, you.
and we will see you on the run.
And thank you again for listening to the Drapedomaniac podcast. Tune in next week at doiamedia.com. DOIAMEDIA.com. And again, we'll catch you on the run. Peace.